The autumn sun hung low over Riverside, California, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement of Oakwood Elementary School. Connor Mitchell sat alone at the far end of the cafeteria, his small frame hunched over a lunch tray he hadn't touched. The fluorescent lights overhead hummed their monotonous song, but Connor barely noticed. His left eye throbbed beneath the makeup he'd stolen from his mother's bathroom, a desperate attempt to cover the purple-black bruise that spread from his eyebrow to his cheekbone. "Hey, Mitchell!" A voice cut through the cafeteria noise like a knife. Connor's shoulders tensed. He knew that voice. Tyler Brennan, 13 years old and built like he'd been held back twice, swaggered over with his usual entourage. "What happened to your face? Your imaginary dad finally show up and give you what you deserved?" Laughter erupted around them. Connor kept his eyes down, focusing on a scratch in the table's laminate surface. His fingers gripped the edge of the tray until his knuckles turned white. "Leave him alone, Tyler." The voice belonged to Sarah Chen, a girl from Connor's math class. She stood near the lunch line, her expression stern. "Mind your own business, Chen," Tyler shot back. He leaned closer to Connor, his breath smelling of chocolate milk and cruelty. "So what's the story this time? Fall off your bike? Walk into a door? Come on, give us something creative." Connor's jaw clenched. The truth burned in his throat, but he swallowed it down like he always did. "I fell during soccer practice," he mumbled. "Right, soccer practice." Tyler's voice dripped with sarcasm. He flicked Connor's ear before walking away, his friends following like obedient dogs. The bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. Connor gathered his things slowly, waiting until most of the students had cleared out. In the hallway, colorful posters announced the upcoming career day. Parents were invited to come talk about their jobs. Connor had seen the permission slip in his backpack for weeks, crumpled and ignored. Last year, his mother had come and talked about being a receptionist at a dental office. But this year was different. This year, Greg would insist on coming. Greg Lawson. Just thinking the name made Connor's stomach twist. His stepfather had moved in 2 years ago, 6 months after marrying Connor's mother, Jennifer Mitchell. At first, Greg had seemed okay, bringing pizza on Fridays, helping with homework, fixing things around their small rental house on Magnolia Street. But that version of Greg had disappeared like morning fog, replaced by something darker. The first time Greg hit him, Connor had been 9. He'd accidentally knocked over Greg's beer while reaching for the remote. The slap had come so fast, Connor hadn't seen it coming. His mother had been at work. She always seemed to be at work, picking up extra shifts at the dental office to cover the bills Greg's sporadic construction work couldn't handle. "You tell anyone about this, and it'll be worse for your mother," Greg had said, his face inches from Connor's. "You understand me, boy?" Connor had nodded, tears streaming down his cheeks. And he'd kept that promise for 2 years, through slaps, punches, and words that hurt worse than any physical blow. The bruises he could explain away. The shame and fear, those he carried alone. After school, Connor walked home slowly. The October air carried the smell of distant wildfires and dying leaves. Riverside looked tired this time of year, the palm trees drooping like they'd given up trying to look tropical. His route took him past Mario's auto shop, where mechanics in oil-stained coveralls worked beneath raised cars, and Tina's diner, where the smell of burgers and coffee drifted out onto the sidewalk. But Connor's attention was drawn to the building across from the diner, a low concrete structure with motorcycles lined up outside like metal soldiers. The sign above the door read Iron Knights MC in bold letters, a stylized helmet and crossed wrenches beneath it. Connor had passed this building hundreds of times, always curious, always a little afraid. The men who came and went wore leather vests covered in patches, their motorcycles rumbling like thunder when they started up. His father had ridden a motorcycle. Connor remembered that much, though the memories were fading around the edges like old photographs. Robert Mitchell had been a weekend rider, taking Connor on short trips to the park, the little boy clutching his father's waist and feeling like he could fly. Then had come the accident on Interstate 215, a drunk driver crossing lanes, a collision, and just like that, Connor's father was gone. Connor stopped walking, staring at the clubhouse. Through the large windows, he could see men sitting around tables talking and laughing. One of them, a massive man with a grey beard and a bald head, caught Connor's eye and raised a hand in a small wave. Connor quickly looked away and hurried on. The Mitchell house sat at the end of a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood that had seen better days. The lawn needed mowing, paint peeled from the window frames, and Greg's truck sat in the driveway, which meant he was home. Connor's heart sank. He checked his phone. 4:15 p.m. His mother wouldn't be home until after 6. Inside, the house smelled like stale cigarettes and yesterday's fried chicken. The TV blared from the living room, some sports show Greg always watched. Connor tried to slip past quietly, heading for the stairs. "Connor!" Greg's voice stopped him cold. "Come here." Connor set his backpack down and walked into the living room. Greg sat in his recliner, a beer in one hand, his attention still on the TV. He was a big man, over 6 feet tall, with a thick neck and hands that looked like they could crush stones. His construction company t-shirt was stained with sweat. "Your teacher called," Greg said, his voice dangerously calm. "Said you haven't turned in your homework for 3 days. Connor's mind raced. He had done his homework. He always did his homework in the library after school before coming home. "I turned it in. Are you calling me a liar?" Greg's head turned slowly, his eyes fixing on Connor. They were pale blue like ice. "No, sir, I just what?" Greg stood up, setting the beer down with deliberate care. "You think you're smart, don't you? Think you're better than me?" "No, The backhand caught Connor across the same side of his face that was already bruised. Pain exploded through his skull, and he stumbled backward, catching himself on the doorframe. His vision blurred with tears he refused to let fall. "You're pathetic," Greg said, sitting back down. "Just like your dead father. Now get out of my sight." Connor fled upstairs to his room, closing the door with shaking hands. He collapsed onto his bed, pressing his face into the pillow to muffle any sound. The room was small, barely enough space for a twin bed, a dresser, and a small desk where he did his homework. Posters of motorcycles covered the walls, each one carefully selected from magazines he bought with lunch money he'd saved. They were his escape, his connection to the father he barely remembered. He rolled over and stared at the ceiling, touching his face gingerly. The bruise would be worse tomorrow. He'd need more makeup. Maybe he could fake being sick, stay home from school. But that would mean staying here with Greg. Connor's eyes drifted to the permission slip on his desk, illuminated by the last rays of sunlight coming through his window. Career day was next Friday, 6 days away. The form asked for a parent or guardian to come speak about their profession. Connor imagined Greg standing in front of his classmates, talking about construction work, and Tyler Brennan making jokes, and everyone seeing through Connor's pretense of having a normal family. No, he couldn't let that happen. An idea began forming in Connor's mind, crazy, desperate, probably stupid. But it was an idea, and right now, that was more than he'd had in a long time. He thought about the Iron Knights clubhouse, about the men he'd seen there, about the way motorcycles sounded like freedom. That night, Connor waited until he heard Greg's truck leave. Friday nights meant the bar downtown, which meant Greg wouldn't be back until late. His mother came home at 6:30, looking exhausted as always. Jennifer Mitchell was 41, but looked older, her blonde hair pulled back in a tired ponytail, dark circles under her eyes. "Hey, baby," she said, managing a smile. "How was school?" "Fine," Connor lied, angling his face away from her. He'd gotten good at that. She heated up leftovers for dinner, and they ate in near silence, the TV filling the void where conversation should have been. Connor wanted to tell her everything, about Tyler, about Greg, about how scared he was all the time, but every time he opened his mouth, he remembered Greg's threat. "It'll be worse for your mother." After dinner, Connor helped with dishes, kissed his mother goodnight, and retreated to his room. He pulled out a notebook and began to write, working out exactly what he would say. The plan was insane. It would probably fail. But doing nothing, continuing to live like this, that wasn't an option anymore. Saturday morning arrived with grey skies and the promise of rain. Connor told his mother he was going to the library, which was technically true. He did plan to go there, just not yet. He put on his best jeans, a hoodie, and his father's old motorcycle keychain, which he kept in his pocket like a talisman. The walk to the Iron Knights clubhouse took 15 minutes. With each step, Connor's courage wavered. What was he doing? These were grown men, strangers, people who had no reason to care about some random kid with problems. They'd probably laugh at him, or worse, call his mother. But his feet kept moving, carrying him forward until he stood outside the clubhouse door. Several motorcycles were parked outside, gleaming chrome and leather, each one a work of art. Through the window, Connor could see about a dozen men inside. Country music played from a jukebox in the corner. Connor's hand trembled as he reached for the door handle. He thought about turning around, going home, forgetting this stupid idea. But then he thought about Monday morning, about facing Tyler's taunts, about career day, about coming home to Greg. He opened the door. The music seemed to get louder as Connor stepped inside. The smell of motor oil, leather, and coffee filled his nose. Conversation paused as every head turned toward him. Connor froze, suddenly feeling very small and very stupid. The big man with the grey beard from yesterday was sitting at a table near the back. He stood up, his leather vest creaking. He had to be at least 6'4", with arms like tree trunks and a face that had seen hard years. But his expression wasn't angry, just curious. "You lost, son." His voice was deep, surprisingly gentle. Connor's prepared speech evaporated from his mind. He stood there, mouth open, no words coming out. Several of the men exchanged glances. A younger guy with dark hair and tattoos covering his arms leaned over to whisper something to his neighbor. "It's okay," the big man said, walking closer. "Nobody's gonna hurt you here. You looking for someone?" Connor shook his head. Words. He needed words. I need... His voice cracked. He tried again. "I need someone to be my father." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the jukebox seemed to pause. The big man's expression changed, surprise giving way to concern. He knelt down, bringing himself closer to Connor's eye level, and that's when he saw it. The bruise, barely covered by makeup, spreading across Connor's face. "What's your name, kid?" the man asked quietly. "Connor. Connor Mitchell." "I'm Marcus. Marcus Stone." He extended a hand and Connor shook it. Marcus's grip was firm but careful. "Why don't you come sit down and you can tell me what's going on?" Connor followed Marcus to a table in the corner, away from most of the other men, though he was acutely aware of all eyes still on him. Marcus gestured to a chair, and Connor sat, his backpack clutched in his lap like a shield. "Can you tell me again what you said when you walked in?" Marcus asked. "About needing a father." The words came easier this time, tumbling out in a rush. "There's this thing at school next Friday, career day. Parents come in and talk about their jobs, and I can't." Connor took a breath. "My real dad died 3 years ago. He rode a motorcycle like you guys, and my stepdad, he's not..." Connor couldn't finish the sentence. The words stuck in his throat. Marcus's jaw tightened. His eyes, which were a warm brown, studied Connor's face with an intensity that was almost uncomfortable. "Connor, who gave you that black eye?" Connor's hand instinctively moved to his face. "I fell during soccer practice." "Connor, Marcus's voice was still gentle, but there was steel underneath. I was a kid once too. I know what falling down looks like, and I know what a fist looks like. You don't have to tell me right now if you're not ready. But I need you to know, if someone's hurting you, there are people who can help. Tears burned behind Connor's eyes. He blinked them back furiously. I just need someone to come to career day. Just for one day, so the kids at school will stop. He didn't finish. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, then he turned in his chair. Danny, Ben, Jake, come here a minute. 3 men approached the table. The first was Danny Rivera, probably in his early 30s, with kind eyes and grease permanently embedded under his fingernails. The second was Ben Foster, older, maybe 50, with grey haircut, military short, and a scar running down his left cheek. The third was Jake Morrison, lean and bookish-looking, despite the leather vest, with glasses and a thoughtful expression. This is Connor, Marcus said. Connor, these are my brothers, not blood, but the kind that counts. Connor here has career day at school next Friday, and he's asked if one of us might go with him. Danny immediately pulled out a chair and sat down, leaning forward with interest. Career day? Man, I remember those. Always thought they were cool. What school you go to, Connor? Oakwood Elementary. No kidding? My nephew went there. Good school. Danny's smile was easy, natural. Ben crossed his arms, but his expression was thoughtful. You ask your folks about this, Connor? About inviting someone? Connor's face fell. My mum won't mind. She's always working, and my stepdad. He trailed off. Jake, who'd been quiet, spoke up. His voice was measured, educated. Marcus, can we talk for a second? He jerked his head toward the bar. The 4 men stepped away, leaving Connor alone at the table. He watched them huddle together, talking in low voices. He caught fragments. Black eye. Stepdad. We should call someone. His heart sank. They weren't going to help. They were going to call Child Protective Services, or his mom, or the police. This had been a mistake. Connor stood up, ready to bolt for the door, but Marcus turned and caught his eye. The big man walked back over, the other 3 following. Connor, Marcus said, sitting down again, here's what we're thinking. Yeah, we'll come to your career day, but we got some conditions. Connor sat back down slowly. Okay. First, we need your mom's permission. Can you give me her phone number? I'll call her, explain the situation, make sure she's okay with this. Connor nodded, rattling off the number. Marcus entered it into his phone. Second, Ben said, his military bearing evident in his posture. If someone's hurting you, at home or at school, you need to tell us. We can't help if we don't know what's going on. And third, Jake added, this doesn't end with career day. You come by here anytime you need to, understand? We look out for our own, and any kid brave enough to walk in here and ask for help, that's our own. Connor felt something crack inside his chest, something that had been holding back a flood. The tears came before he could stop them, hot and shameful. He tried to wipe them away, but they kept coming. Danny reached over and squeezed his shoulder. Hey, it's okay, brother. You're safe here. Marcus waited until Connor had composed himself, then stood. I'm gonna call your mom right now. You hang tight. He walked toward the door, phone to his ear. Danny started asking Connor about school, about what he liked to do, keeping the conversation light. Ben went to the bar and came back with a Coke and a bag of chips. Figured you might be hungry. Jake asked about Connor's dad, and Connor found himself talking about the motorcycle rides. The memories he'd been afraid were fading away. Jake listened with genuine interest, occasionally asking questions that made Connor remember details he thought he'd forgotten. The smell of his dad's leather jacket, the way he always checked Connor's helmet twice before they rode, the terrible jokes he'd tell at stoplights. 20 minutes later, Marcus came back inside. His expression was serious, but not angry. I talked to your mom, Connor. Nice lady. She works hard. Connor nodded. She gave permission for me, for us, to come to career day. She also told me some other things. Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. Connor, your mum knows about the bruises. She knows what's been happening, and she's scared too. The admission hung in the air like smoke. Connor stared at the table, shame and relief warring inside him. We're gonna help, Marcus said firmly, not just with career day, with all of it. But Connor, you got to be straight with us. Who hit you? The words came out barely above a whisper. My stepdad, Greg. Marcus exchanged glances with his brothers. Ben's jaw clenched. Danny's expression hardened. Jake just nodded slowly, like something had been confirmed. Does he hit your mom too? Ben asked. Connor nodded miserably. He's only done it a few times, but he yells at her all the time. And she's so tired. She works so much and he doesn't help, and I try to be good so he won't get mad, but it doesn't matter. He always... The words tumbled out in a rush. 3 years of silence breaking apart. Okay, Marcus said, his voice calm, despite the anger Connor could see in his eyes. Okay, Connor, here's what's gonna happen. You're safe now. Your mom's safe. We're gonna make sure of that. But we gotta do this right, understand? Legal. By the book. Otherwise it doesn't stick. Jake pulled out his phone. I know a family law attorney. Good guy. He volunteers at the legal aid clinic downtown. Let me make a call. Over the next hour, Connor found himself at the center of a carefully orchestrated plan. Jake got in touch with Michael Torres, an attorney who specialized in domestic violence cases. Ben, using his connections from his time in the military and subsequent work with veteran services, reached out to a social worker he knew. Danny offered to talk to Officer Lisa Hayes, a cop he'd gone to high school with, about filing a report. Connor sat at the table drinking his Coke, feeling overwhelmed and strangely hopeful. These men, strangers an hour ago, were mobilizing like an army, and they were doing it for him. You hungry, kid? Danny asked. Real food, not just chips? Connor realized he was starving. He nodded. Danny grinned. Tina's diner across the street makes the best burger in Riverside. My treat. Who else wants lunch? 10 minutes later, Connor found himself in a booth at Tina's diner, surrounded by 4 leather-clad bikers. The waitress, a woman in her 60s with cat-eye glasses and bright red lipstick, raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She took their orders with professional efficiency. While they waited for food, Marcus asked, so tell me about this career day. What exactly happens? Connor explained the format. Parents would set up tables in the gym and students would rotate through, spending 10 minutes at each station while the parent talked about their job and answered questions. And the kids give you trouble about your stepdad? Ben asked. About not having a real dad, Connor corrected. There's this kid, Tyler Brennan. He's always saying stuff about how I'm... He stopped, not wanting to repeat the words. Bully? Danny supplied. Connor nodded. Jake leaned back, thoughtful. You know, I used to be a teacher, 7th grade English. I've seen kids like Tyler. Usually they're dealing with their own stuff, not an excuse, just context. Doesn't make it okay, Ben said flatly. No, it doesn't, Jake agreed. Their food arrived, and Connor dug into his burger with enthusiasm. He couldn't remember the last time he'd eaten without the knot of anxiety in his stomach. The conversation flowed around him, stories about motorcycle trips, about the club's charity work, about stupid things they'd done when they were younger. They included Connor naturally, asking his opinions, laughing at his jokes. For the first time in 3 years, Connor felt like he could breathe. So, Marcus said, wiping his mouth with a napkin, career day's next Friday. What do you think? Should I come solo or should I bring some backup? Connor's eyes widened. You mean more than one person? Brother, we're a motorcycle club, Danny said with a grin. We don't do anything solo. I'm thinking we show up proper. Full colors, bikes, the whole deal. Give those kids something to remember. And give Tyler Brennan something to shut up about, Ben added. Connor felt his face split into a grin, the first genuine smile he'd worn in weeks. That would be amazing. Marcus raised his coffee cup. Then it settled. Next Friday, Iron Knight's MC makes an appearance at Oakwood Elementary. Connor, you tell your teacher to expect us. And you tell Tyler Brennan that you've got 32 fathers now, and every single one of them has his back. Connor's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were different. These were tears of relief, of gratitude, of hope. He raised his Coke can, and they all clinked their drinks together. A toast to family, the kind you choose rather than the kind you're born into. Outside, through the diner's window, Connor could see the motorcycles lined up across the street, chrome gleaming in the afternoon sun. They looked like freedom. They looked like escape. They looked like exactly what he'd been searching for, and for the first time in 3 years, Connor Mitchell felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. The Iron Knights clubhouse buzzed with activity Monday evening. Word had spread through the brotherhood about Connor Mitchell and the upcoming career day. Marcus Stone stood at the front of the room, arms crossed over his chest, watching his brothers arrive. The meeting wasn't mandatory. They'd had their official gathering on Sunday, but when Marcus had sent out a message explaining the situation, every single member who could make it had shown up. Tommy Clutch Harrison arrived first on his vintage Harley, the bike's engine rumbling like controlled thunder. Tommy was 62, the club's oldest active member, with white hair pulled back in a ponytail and a face like weathered leather. Behind him came Chris Palmer, a stocky black man in his 40s who owned a successful landscaping business, and Rick Donovan, a firefighter with the Riverside Fire Department whose shift had just ended. "All right, Marcus," Tommy said, settling into his usual chair. "You got us here. What's the play?" Marcus waited until the room settled, 32 men in total, representing every age from 25 to 65. Every profession from mechanics to lawyers to construction workers. These were his brothers, bound not by blood but by choice, by the road, by shared experiences and mutual respect. "Most of you read the message," Marcus began. "But for those who haven't heard the details, here's the situation." He laid out everything: Connor's visit, the black eye, the conversation with Jennifer Mitchell, the abusive stepfather, and the upcoming career day. "This kid walked into our clubhouse, strangers to him, and asked for help. That takes guts. More guts than most adults I know." "What's his stepdad's name?" asked Ray Keller, a man with a shaved head and tattoos covering both arms. Ray worked as a bouncer at downtown clubs and had a reputation for handling problems efficiently. "Greg Lawson. Works construction, at least sometimes. Drinks too much. Got a temper." Marcus's voice was carefully neutral, but everyone in the room could hear the anger underneath. "We calling the cops?" Chris asked. "Already in motion," Jake Morrison said from his spot near the back. "I connected Connor's mom with Michael Torres. You all know him. Does family law. Michael's helping her file for a restraining order. Officer Lisa Hayes is involved too, working the official channels. But that takes time," Ben Foster added. "Paperwork, court dates, evidence gathering. Meanwhile, this kid and his mom are still living with this piece of..." He caught himself. "With this guy." Danny Rivera raised his hand. "So what's the plan for Friday? We just show up and smile for the cameras?" Marcus pulled out his phone and brought up a calendar. "Here's what I'm thinking. Career day runs from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. School's expecting 1 parent or guardian per kid. We're going to give them 32. The room erupted in grins and nods of approval. "But," Marcus continued, raising his voice over the enthusiasm, "we do this right. No colors that'll scare the kids. No intimidation tactics. We're there to support Connor, show him he's got family, and yes, send a message to anyone who thinks he's an easy target. But we're not there to cause trouble." "Speak for yourself," muttered Ray, but he was smiling. Tommy leaned forward. "What about the stepdad? He gonna be there?" "Jennifer says no," Marcus replied. "Greg doesn't know about career day. She's not planning to tell him, but we should be prepared in case he shows up anyway." "And if he does?" Rick Donovan asked. As a firefighter, Rick had seen the aftermath of domestic violence more times than he cared to count. If he shows up and causes trouble, we handle it legal, Marcus said firmly. We document everything. We have witnesses. We do not, I repeat, do not give him any ammunition to use against Connor or his mother. This has to be clean. Steve Walsh, who worked as an EMT, spoke up. What about the kids' injuries? Has anyone documented them? Photos, medical reports? Good question, Jake said. Michael Torres asked the same thing. Connor's mom is taking him to Dr. Rachel Kim tomorrow morning, Rachel's pediatrician who works with the Children's Advocacy Center. She'll do a full examination, document everything properly. And the school? Asked David Chen, Sarah Chen's father and the owner of Chen's Electronics downtown. They know what's happening. Marcus nodded. I called Principal Margaret Hoffman this morning. Explained the situation in general terms. Kids in a tough spot, clubs stepping in to help. We'd like to participate in Career Day. She was skeptical at first, but when I mentioned we'd cleared it with his mother and that social services is involved, she agreed. Said she'd have extra security on hand, just in case. Smart woman, Tommy commented. The meeting continued for another hour, ironing out details. They discussed logistics, where to park 32 motorcycles without blocking the school's buses, how to coordinate arrival times, what to say if kids ask questions about the bruises they might see on Connor. Jake, with his teaching background, coached them on age-appropriate language and how to talk about their professions in ways that would engage 11-year-olds. Remember, Jake said, these are fifth graders. Keep stories short, exciting, and educational. Talk about what you do, why you love it, and yes, you can mention the motorcycles. Kids love motorcycles. What about the bully? Ray asked. This Tyler kid, we addressing that? Marcus's expression hardened slightly. We don't confront other people's kids, that's not our place. But if Tyler happens to see 32 bikers standing with Connor, and if that makes him reconsider his life choices, well, that's just educational, isn't it? Laughter rippled through the room. Pete Rodriguez, who owned Rodriguez Family Restaurant on Market Street, raised his hand. My wife's been asking what she can do. A lot of the partners want to help too. Can we provide food? Make it a proper event? Marcus considered. Check with Principal Hoffman. If the school's okay with it, I'm sure the teachers would appreciate lunch. But keep it simple. We're not trying to take over the school. Just sending a message, Danny said with a grin. Exactly. As the meeting wound down, Marcus noticed James Butler sitting quietly in the corner. James was one of their newer members, only been with the club for 6 months. He was younger, maybe 28, and hadn't said much during the discussion. James, you got something on your mind? Marcus asked. James looked up, hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I was wondering if I could talk to the kid. Connor. Not at Career Day, but before. Because, he paused, choosing his words carefully. I grew up in a house like that. My old man used to knock me around. And I wish someone had told me when I was that age that it wasn't my fault, that I wasn't broken. The room went quiet. James didn't talk much about his past. Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah, brother, I think Connor would appreciate that. Stop by here Wednesday after school. I'll make sure he's around. The meeting broke up shortly after, but small groups lingered, continuing conversations. Marcus found himself at the bar with Tommy, Danny, Ben, and Jake, his core group, the men he'd known longest. This is good what we're doing, Tommy said, nursing a beer. Reminds me why we started this club in the first place. Wasn't just about riding bikes. Marcus nodded. The Iron Knights had been founded 15 years ago by Marcus and 6 other men, all of whom had served in various branches of the military and struggled with returning to civilian life. The club had given them purpose, brotherhood, a way to channel their experiences into something positive. Over the years, they'd grown, taking on community service projects, charity rides, mentorship programs. But this felt different. more personal. You think we can really help him? Danny asked quietly. Or are we just putting a band-aid on something that needs surgery? We're doing both, Jake replied. The legal system will handle the long-term solution. But right now, Connor needs to know he's not alone. That's what we can give him. Ben, who'd been quiet, spoke up. When I got back from Afghanistan, I was in a dark place. Didn't think I'd make it through some days. Then I found this club, and you guys gave me a reason to keep going. Maybe we can do that for Connor. Different situations, Marcus pointed out. Same principle, Ben countered. Kids fighting a war in his own house. He needs allies. Marcus couldn't argue with that. Tuesday morning, Connor sat in Dr. Rachel Kim's examination room, his mother beside him. The doctor was a small woman with gentle hands and an even gentler voice. She'd explained everything she was going to do before she did it, giving Connor a sense of control he rarely felt. "This must be hard for you, Doctor," Kim said, photographing the bruises on Connor's face, ribs, and back. "You're very brave to do this." Connor didn't feel brave. He felt exposed and ashamed. But his mother squeezed his hand, and he remembered Marcus's words. "You're safe now." After the examination, Dr. Kim sat down across from them, her expression serious. "Jennifer, Connor, I'm going to be filing a report with Child Protective Services. This is mandatory when I see evidence of abuse, but I want you to know this is a good thing. It creates an official record which will help with the legal proceedings." Jennifer's face crumpled slightly, but she nodded. "I should have done this sooner." "You're doing it now," Dr. Kim said firmly. "That's what matters." That afternoon, Michael Torres met with Jennifer at his office, a converted house on Brockton Avenue that served as a legal aid clinic. Connor sat in the waiting room, doing homework and trying not to think about what his mother was discussing behind the closed door. When Jennifer emerged an hour later, her eyes were red but determined. "We're filing for divorce," she told Connor in the car, "and a restraining order. Michael says with Dr. Kim's report and your testimony, we have a strong case." "What about Greg?" Connor asked, his voice small. "Michael's going to have the papers served tomorrow while Greg's at work, and Officer Hayes will be there when we remove our things from the house. We're not going back there alone." "Where will we go?" Jennifer's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Your Aunt Diane said we can stay with her in Corona for a while. It's about 20 miles from here, but you can still go to Oakwood. We'll make it work." Connor nodded, processing. Aunt Diane was his mother's younger sister, divorced with 2 kids of her own. Her house was small, but it was safe. "I'm sorry, baby," Jennifer whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I should have protected you better." "It's okay, Mum." "It's not okay. None of this is okay." She pulled the car over into a parking lot, putting it in park and turning to face him. "But it's going to be okay, I promise you that. Those men, Marcus and his friends, they're good people, and we're going to get through this." Connor believed her. Wednesday afternoon, Connor walked into the Iron Knights clubhouse with his mother. It was his 3rd visit in 5 days, but this time felt different. The clubhouse was busier, at least 20 men scattered around, working on bikes, playing pool, talking. Marcus greeted them at the door. "Jennifer, Connor, come on in." "Connor, there's someone who wants to meet you." He led Connor over to a young man sitting at a corner table, James Butler. James looked nervous, his hands wrapped around a coffee mug. "Connor, this is James," Marcus said. "He's one of our brothers." "James, this is Connor Mitchell." "Hey," James said, his voice soft. "You want to sit down?" Connor glanced at his mother, who nodded encouragingly. He sat across from James while Marcus guided Jennifer toward the bar, giving them privacy. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then James said, "Marcus told me a little about what you're going through, and I wanted to tell you something. You don't have to say anything, just listen, okay?" Connor nodded. "When I was 8 years old, my dad broke my arm. James's voice was matter-of-fact, but Connor could hear the pain underneath. Threw me down the stairs because I'd gotten a bad grade on a math test. My mum took me to the hospital and I lied and said I fell. I was good at lying, got a lot of practice. Connor's throat tightened. It went on until I was 16, James continued. Then I got big enough to fight back, and one night I did. Put my dad in the hospital instead. Got arrested, spent time in juvie. It took me years to get my head straight. I'm sorry, Connor whispered. James shook his head. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I want you to know what you're doing right now, asking for help, telling people what's happening. That's the smart move, the brave move. I wish I'd done it when I was your age. Would have saved me a lot of pain. Does it get better? Connor asked. Yeah, James said, and for the first time he smiled. It does. Takes time, takes work. But it does, and having people in your corner, like these guys, that makes all the difference. You're not alone, Connor. Remember that. They talked for a while longer, James sharing stories about his journey, the therapy, the work to rebuild relationships, finding the motorcycle club, and finally feeling like he belonged somewhere. Connor listened, absorbing every word like a plant soaking up rain after a drought. When Jennifer said it was time to go, Connor stood and surprised himself by hugging James. The older man stiffened for a second, then hugged back. Thanks, Connor said. Anytime, little brother. Outside, as Connor and his mother walked to their car, Marcus called out, Hey Connor, don't forget, Friday morning, 9:45 a.m. We'll meet you in the parking lot. Connor grinned. I'll be there. That night, lying in bed at Aunt Diane's house, they'd moved their essential belongings that afternoon with Officer Hayes present. Connor felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, tangible hope that life could be different. His phone buzzed with a text from Sarah Chen, the girl who'd stood up for him in the cafeteria. Heard some bikers are coming to career day for you. That's so cool. Tyler's gonna freak LOL. Connor smiled and texted back, Yeah, my new family. Because that's what they were, he realized. Not the family he'd been born into or the one he'd been forced to accept, but a family he'd chosen and who'd chosen him back. And that made all the difference. Friday morning dawned clear and cool over Riverside, the October sun climbing into a sky scraped clean by yesterday's winds. Connor Mitchell woke up at 6 a.m. in his cousin's room at Aunt Diane's house, too anxious and excited to sleep any longer. Today was career day. Today, 32 motorcyclists were going to show up at his school. Today, everything changed. He dressed carefully in his best jeans and a button-up shirt his mother had ironed the night before. The bruises on his face had faded to yellow-green, still visible but less angry than they'd been a week ago. Connor touched them gently, remembering. Then he squared his shoulders and headed downstairs. His mother was already in the kitchen making breakfast. Aunt Diane, a shorter, rounder version of Jennifer with the same tired eyes, poured coffee and gave Connor an encouraging smile. Big day, kiddo. Yeah, Connor managed. You nervous? Jennifer asked, setting a plate of eggs and toast in front of him. Connor considered the question. A little, but more excited? Is that weird? That's not weird at all, Aunt Diane said. You've got 32 bikers showing up to support you. If I were 11, I'd be jumping off the walls. Connor ate quickly, his stomach a knot of anticipation. At 8:15, his mother drove him to school. Oakwood Elementary looked the same as always. A sprawling, single-story building painted in cheerful yellow and blue. Playground equipment scattered across the field, American flags snapping in the breeze. But today, it felt different. Today, it was the stage for something important. In homeroom, Mrs. Patterson, Connor's teacher, made announcements about career day logistics. Parents would arrive at 9:45 and set up in the gymnasium. Students would rotate through in groups starting at 10:15. Connor tried to focus on her words, but his attention kept drifting to the clock. Tyler Brennan sat 3 rows over, whispering to his friends and occasionally glancing at Connor with that familiar smirk. Connor ignored him. Tyler didn't matter. Not today. At 9:40, Principal Margaret Hoffman's voice crackled over the intercom. "Students in Mrs. Patterson's class, please proceed to the gymnasium for career day setup." Connor's heart hammered as he followed his classmates down the hallway. The gym was already transforming. Tables set up in rows, parents arranging displays and handouts. He saw Sarah Chen's father, David, setting up a table with various electronic components. Dr. William Brooks, who worked at Riverside Community Hospital, was arranging medical equipment. Captain Sandra Martinez from the fire department had brought her uniform and helmet, but no motorcyclists, not yet. Mrs. Patterson directed Connor to a table in the back corner. More space, she'd explained when Connor had mentioned how many people might be coming. Connor set his backpack down and waited, hands clenched at his sides. 9:45 became 9:50. Still nothing. Tyler sauntered by with his dad, a balding man in an expensive suit. "So where's your imaginary biker gang, Mitchell? They forget about you." Connor's face burned, but he didn't respond. He checked his phone. No messages. Then, at 9:53, he heard it. The rumble started distant, like thunder on the horizon. Then it grew louder, deeper, a sound that vibrated in Connor's chest and made conversations stop mid-sentence. Everyone in the gymnasium turned toward the windows. Connor ran to the doorway and looked out at the parking lot. They were coming. Motorcycles rolled into Oakwood Elementary's parking lot in a perfect V formation, 32 bikes moving as one unit. The sound was tremendous, a symphony of engines, chrome, and controlled power. At the front rode Marcus Stone on his black and silver Harley, the Iron Knights logo gleaming on his vest. Behind him, the Brotherhood spread out in perfect formation. Danny Rivera, Ben Foster, Jake Morrison, Tommy Harrison, Chris Palmer, Rick Donovan, Ray Keller, James Butler, and 24 others whose names Connor was still learning. They parked in synchronized precision, engines cutting off one by one until silence reclaimed the morning. Then they dismounted, each man removing his helmet with deliberate care. The leather vests they wore bore the Iron Knights patches, but true to Marcus's word, nothing else that might seem aggressive or intimidating. Connor's face split into a grin so wide his cheeks hurt. Marcus spotted him in the doorway and raised a hand. "Morning, Connor!" Connor waved back, then turned to find every student in the gymnasium crowded around the windows and doors, staring in awe. Even the other parents had stopped setting up their tables to watch. Principal Hoffman stood near the entrance, her expression somewhere between impressed and apprehensive. The Iron Knights walked across the parking lot as a unit, boots crunching on asphalt, moving with the easy confidence of men comfortable in their own skins. Marcus led them through the main entrance, nodding respectfully to Principal Hoffman. "Principal Hoffman," Marcus said, extending his hand. "Marcus Stone. We spoke on the phone. Mr. Stone." She shook his hand, her grip firm. "I see you brought everyone. We don't do anything halfway, ma'am. Hope that's all right." Despite herself, Principal Hoffman smiled. "I suppose we'll manage. Your table is in the back corner, near the basketball hoop. You'll have plenty of space." The Iron Knights filed into the gymnasium, and Connor felt 32 pairs of eyes sweep the room, assessing, cataloging, protecting. It was the feeling of being safe, Connor realized. This is what safe felt like. "Connor!" Danny called out, grin bright on his face. "Where do you want us?" Connor led them to his assigned table, and chaos, organized chaos, ensued. Within minutes, the Iron Knights had transformed the space. Tommy produced a professionally printed banner reading, "Iron Knights Motorcycle Club, riding for community, family, brotherhood." Rick Donovan set up a display with photos from charity rides and community events. Jake Morrison arranged pamphlets about motorcycle safety and the club's mentorship programs. Pete Rodriguez somehow produced a cooler full of cold drinks. But the centerpiece was the helmet, Connor's father's helmet, which Jennifer had given to Marcus earlier that week. Marcus placed it on the table with reverence, and beside it, a photo of Robert Mitchell on his motorcycle. Connor clutched tight in front of him, both of them grinning at the camera. Connor stared at the photo, eyes burning with tears he refused to shed. He'd forgotten that picture existed. "Your mum found it," Marcus said quietly, standing beside him. "Thought you might want it here today, so your dad could be part of this." Connor couldn't speak. He just nodded. Around them, the gym had descended into controlled chaos. Students abandoned their assigned tables to crowd around the Iron Knights, firing questions faster than anyone could answer. Adults, parents, and teachers watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to approval. "Is that a real Harley? How fast can your bike go? Can I try on your helmet? Do you know my Uncle Rick? He has a motorcycle." The Brotherhood handled it with practiced ease, each man engaging with the kids naturally. Danny talked about being a mechanic, letting kids examine tools and explaining how engines worked. Ben discussed his military service and transition to veteran advocacy work. Jake found himself surrounded by students interested in his teaching background and love of literature. Chris Palmer showed photos of his landscaping projects, explaining how he built his business from scratch. And through it all, Connor stood at the center, beaming like the sun had taken up residence in his chest. Mrs. Patterson approached with her clipboard, looking slightly overwhelmed. "Connor, this is quite impressive." "Yeah," Connor said, unable to wipe the smile off his face. They're pretty cool." "I'd say so." She checked her clipboard. "Official rotation starts in 20 minutes, but I think we might just let things flow organically today. This is..." She gestured at the scene before them. "This is wonderful, Connor. Really wonderful." At 10:15, Principal Hoffman officially welcomed everyone to Career Day over the PA system. The scheduled rotations began, but students kept gravitating back to Connor's table, drawn by the motorcycles visible through the windows and the genuine enthusiasm of the Iron Knights. Tyler Brennan appeared at the table around 10:30, his earlier smirk replaced by uncertainty. His father wasn't with him. Connor spotted Mr. Brennan at a table across the gym, talking on his phone, apparently too busy for his son. Tyler stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. Ray Keller noticed him and nodded. "You want to come closer, kid? We don't bite." Tyler shuffled forward reluctantly. He was tall for his age, athletic build, with the kind of confidence that usually came from being good at sports and popular at school. But right now, he looked uncomfortable. Marcus straightened from where he'd been showing a group of girls photos from a charity ride to the children's hospital. His eyes found Tyler, and something flickered in his expression. Recognition, maybe, or understanding. "You must be Tyler," Marcus said. Tyler's eyes widened. "How did you..." "Connor mentioned you." Marcus's voice was neutral, but there was weight behind it. "Said you go to school together." "Oh." Tyler glanced at Connor, then away. Yeah. An awkward silence stretched. Then Tommy Harrison, reading the room with the wisdom of his 62 years, said, "You interested in motorcycles, Tyler?" "I guess," Tyler mumbled. "Well, come on then. Let me show you something." Tommy pulled out his phone and brought up photos of his vintage Harley, explaining its history and restoration process. Tyler leaned in despite himself, interest overtaking attitude. Connor watched, surprised. Part of him wanted to tell Tyler to get lost, to enjoy this moment without his bully anywhere near it. But another part, the part that had grown over the past week, listening to James Butler's story and watching these men treat everyone with respect, that part felt something different. Not forgiveness exactly, but possibility. The morning continued in a blur of activity. Parents rotated through tables, students asked questions, and the Iron Knights proved themselves to be natural educators and storytellers. Pete Rodriguez talked about running a restaurant and the importance of community. Chris Palmer discussed building a business with integrity. Officer Lisa Hayes, who'd shown up in uniform to support the cause, explained police work with honesty and nuance. But the most powerful moment came at 11:30, when James Butler stood up and asked for everyone's attention. "Hey, can I share something?" His voice was quiet, but it carried. The gymnasium gradually quieted, students and adults turning toward the Iron Knight's table. James's hands shook slightly, but he pressed on. "My name's James Butler. I'm a member of the Iron Knights and I work in IT at a company downtown, but that's not why I'm here today." He looked at Connor. "I'm here because when I was younger than most of you kids, I lived in a house where I wasn't safe, where someone who was supposed to protect me hurt me instead." You could have heard a pin drop. Principal Hoffman moved closer, concerned, but Marcus caught her eye and shook his head slightly. "Let him talk." "I thought I was alone," James continued. "Thought it was my fault, or that I was weak, or that nobody would believe me. So I didn't tell anyone. And that," his voice cracked, "that was the worst mistake I ever made, because I wasn't alone, because it wasn't my fault, and because people would have helped if I just asked." He took a breath, collecting himself. Connor Mitchell asked for help. He walked into our clubhouse, scared, hurt, and brave as hell, and he asked strangers for help. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing I've ever seen a kid do. Connor felt tears streaming down his face, but he didn't care. Around him, several students were crying too. Even some of the adults looked emotional. "So I guess what I want to say," James finished, "is if any of you are dealing with something hard, something scary, something that makes you feel alone, tell someone, a teacher, a parent, a friend, a cop, a random biker at a clubhouse. Tell someone, because you're not alone. You're never alone." Silence held for 3 heartbeats. Then someone started clapping. Dr. Brooks, Connor saw. Then someone else joined in. Then everyone was applauding, the sound filling the gymnasium like a wave. James sat down quickly, overwhelmed. Danny clapped him on the shoulder. Ben handed him a water bottle. Marcus just nodded, pride evident in his expression. Mrs. Patterson appeared beside Connor, tears in her eyes. "Connor, that was..." She struggled for words. "Your friends are remarkable people." "Yeah," Connor agreed. "They really are." The rest of career day passed in a warm blur. Lunch arrived. Pete Rodriguez had indeed coordinated with Principal Hoffman to provide tacos for everyone, which the students devoured with enthusiasm. The Iron Knights ate with the kids, answering more questions, sharing more stories, making more connections. Connor found himself sitting between Marcus and Jake, eating tacos and feeling more content than he'd felt in 3 years. Across the gym, he spotted Tyler sitting alone, his father still on his phone at the parent table. On impulse, Connor stood up. "Where you going?" Marcus asked. I'll be right back." Connor walked over to Tyler, carrying an extra taco. "Hey!" Tyler looked up, surprised. "Hey, you want this? Pete made too many." Tyler took the taco slowly. "Thanks." Connor sat down, not quite next to Tyler, but not far away either. They ate in silence for a moment. Then Tyler said, "Your biker guys are pretty cool." "Yeah." "And what that one guy said about asking for help." Tyler stared at his taco. That was real. Connor studied his classmate. Tyler's expensive clothes, his athletic build, his confident posture, none of it hid the shadow in his eyes. "You okay?" Connor asked. Tyler's jaw clenched. "My dad's on a business call during career day because his work's always more important. That sucks." "Yeah." Tyler glanced at Connor. "I'm sorry." For all the stuff I said. About your dad being dead and... He stopped. I'm just sorry. Connor could have held on to his anger. Part of him wanted to, but he thought about James's story, about Marcus's kindness, about second chances and new families. It's okay. It's not, but thanks. They finished eating, the silence more comfortable now. Then Marcus appeared, towering over both of them. Everything good here, Connor? Yeah, Connor stood up. Marcus, this is Tyler. Tyler, this is Marcus Stone. He's basically my dad now. The words came out without Connor planning them, but once they were out there, he realized they were true. Marcus's expression softened, and he extended his hand to Tyler. Nice to meet you, Tyler. Tyler shook it, looking somewhat awestruck. You too, sir. You like motorcycles? I don't know much about them. Well, if you ever want to learn, stop by our clubhouse. We're always happy to teach. Marcus pulled out a card, professionally printed with the Iron Knights logo and address, and handed it to Tyler. Open invitation. Any friend of Connor's is welcome. Tyler pocketed the card, looking genuinely touched. Thanks. As career day wound down around 1 p.m., parents began collecting their displays and saying goodbyes. The Iron Knights packed up their table with the same efficiency they'd used to set it up. Principal Hoffman approached Marcus, and Connor drifted close enough to hear their conversation. Mr. Stone, I wanted to thank you, Principal Hoffman said. What you did today, what your club did, it was extraordinary. James's speech alone. She shook her head. That's something these students will remember for the rest of their lives. We take care of our own, ma'am, Marcus replied. Connor's one of ours now. And if you ever need us for anything, anti-bullying assemblies, career talks, mentorship programs, you call us. We'll be here. Principal Hoffman smiled. I'll definitely take you up on that. Connor helped carry things back to the motorcycles, surrounded by his classmates who were still asking questions, still marveling at the bikes. Even Mrs. Patterson came out, taking photos for the school newsletter. When everything was loaded and ready, Marcus knelt down to Connor's level. How you feeling, brother? Connor thought about it, really thought about it. A week ago, he'd been terrified, alone, covered in bruises and shame. Today, he stood in front of his school, surrounded by 32 men who'd shown up for him, having shared his story and survived the telling. Tyler Brennan had apologized, James Butler had shared his trauma, and Connor's father's helmet sat proudly on display, proof that his memory still lived. I feel good, Connor said honestly. Really good. Marcus smiled and ruffled his hair. Good, because this isn't ending here, you know. You're stuck with us now. I know, Connor said, and he couldn't imagine anything better. The Iron Knights mounted their motorcycles, engines roaring to life in sequence. Students cheered and waved as they prepared to leave. Marcus was the last to put on his helmet, and before he did, he looked at Connor one more time. See you tomorrow, son. Son. The word wrapped around Connor like armor. See you tomorrow, Dad. Marcus's eyes gleamed with something that might have been tears, but he blinked them away and pulled on his helmet. Then the Iron Knights rolled out of the parking lot in formation, leaving behind the rumble of engines and the changed life of one 11-year-old boy who'd learned that family isn't just who you're born to, it's who shows up when you need them most. The weekend following career day passed in a strange combination of peace and tension. Connor spent Saturday at the Iron Knights clubhouse, helping Danny Rivera work on a vintage Harley engine, while Marcus and Ben met with Michael Torres to discuss the ongoing legal proceedings against Greg Lawson. The restraining order had been granted and divorce papers had been served, but Greg had 30 days to respond, and everyone knew those 30 days would be critical. Sunday afternoon, Connor and his mother visited Jennifer's sister Diane's house where they'd been staying. The small 3-bedroom ranch in Corona felt crowded with Diane's 2 teenagers, Emma, 16, and Kyle, 14. But it was safe, and that made all the difference. Connor shared Kyle's room, sleeping on an air mattress on the floor, his belongings stuffed into 2 suitcases and a backpack. Jennifer sat at Diane's kitchen table, paperwork spread before her, rental applications, bank statements, employment verification forms. She was trying to find an apartment they could afford on her receptionist's salary, but everything in Riverside was either too expensive or in neighborhoods that made her nervous. "You could stay here longer," Diane offered, pouring coffee. "I don't mind. You're already doing too much," Jennifer replied, rubbing her tired eyes. "We need our own place. Connor needs stability." "He seems happier than I've seen him in years," Diane observed. "Those biker guys really came through for him." Jennifer smiled despite her exhaustion. "They did. I was skeptical at first when Marcus called me, but they've been wonderful. Connor comes home from the clubhouse talking about motorcycles and mechanics and what Jake taught him about literature. It's like he's discovering who he is for the first time." In the living room, Connor sat on the floor with Kyle, supposedly doing homework, but actually watching videos on Kyle's phone, motorcycle stunts and club rallies. Emma lounged on the couch, scrolling through her own phone, but occasionally glancing at Connor with something like concern. "Your school's all anyone's talking about," Emma said. "My friend's little brother goes to Oakwood. He said 32 bikers showed up for you." Connor looked up, uncertain how to read her tone. "Yeah. That's pretty cool," Emma said. "The video's gone viral. Someone's mom posted it on Facebook and now it's everywhere." "What?" Connor grabbed his own phone and opened Facebook. Sure enough, there it was, a video filmed by one of the parents showing the Iron Knights rolling into the Oakwood Elementary parking lot in formation, engines rumbling, 32 strong. The caption read, "When a boy asked bikers to be his father for career day, they all showed up, faith in humanity restored." The video had 2-3 million views and counting. Comments flooded in from around the world. "This is what real men look like. Someone's cutting onions in here. Bikers are some of the kindest people you'll ever meet. That kid will remember this forever." Connor scrolled through hundreds of comments, his chest tight with emotion. The video had captured Marcus kneeling down to talk to him, James giving his speech, the Iron Knights surrounded by students, all of them smiling. It had captured the moment Connor's life changed. His phone buzzed with a text from Sarah Chen. "OMG, Connor, you're famous." "My dad showed me the video. This is so cool." Then another from Tyler Brennan. "Hey, my dad saw the video. He asked why I never told him you didn't have anyone for career day. I didn't know what to say." Connor stared at Tyler's message for a long moment, then typed back, "It's okay. You want to come to the clubhouse sometime?" Marcus meant what he said about the open invitation. The response came quickly. "Yeah, that would be cool." Monday morning arrived with gray clouds promising rain. Connor walked into Oakwood Elementary to find himself suddenly the center of attention. Students he'd never spoken to approached him in the hallway, asking about the Iron Knights, about the motorcycles, about career day. Teachers smiled at him with new warmth. Even Principal Hoffman stopped him on his way to class. "Connor, I wanted to let you know, we've received over 50 phone calls and emails from parents and community members about Friday, all positive. Several parents have asked if the Iron Knights might come back for our spring career fair, and some have requested information about their mentorship programs." Connor felt his face flush with pride. "I can tell Marcus. I'm sure he'd be happy to come back." "Please do." Principal Hoffman paused, choosing her words carefully. "Connor, what you did, asking for help, being brave enough to tell your story, that's already making a difference. I've had 3 students come to me this morning to talk about problems at home. 3 students who felt safe enough to speak up because of what they saw Friday. You've started something important here." Connor didn't know what to say. He just nodded, throat tight. In Mrs. Patterson's class, the energy was different. Students who'd ignored Connor before now wanted to sit near him, to hear stories about the clubhouse, to see photos on his phone. Tyler Brennan who usually held court from his desk in the back, was quieter than usual, watching the dynamics shift around him. During lunch, Connor sat with Sarah Chen and a group of students who actually wanted to talk to him about normal things like video games and movies and homework. Tyler approached their table tentatively, lunch tray in hand. "Can I sit here?" he asked. Sarah raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Sure." Tyler sat down, and for a few minutes, no one spoke. Then Tyler said, "My dad wants to meet your biker guys." Connor looked up. "Why?" "I don't know. After he saw the video, he's been asking questions about them, about you, about why I never..." Tyler trailed off, uncomfortable. "You can bring him by the clubhouse," Connor offered. "Saturday afternoons, there's usually people around." "Yeah, okay, thanks." Tyler picked at his food. "And Connor, I meant what I said, about being sorry. I know." The conversation moved on, still a little awkward, but genuine. Connor realized that Tyler was actually trying, to be better. It didn't erase the past, but it was something. After school, Connor caught a ride to the Iron Knights clubhouse with Jake Morrison, who'd started picking him up on Mondays and Wednesdays when Jennifer worked late. The clubhouse had become Connor's second home over the past week, a place where he could do homework at the bar while Danny worked on bikes, where Tommy told stories about cross-country rides, where Marcus checked in on him like a real father would. Today, the atmosphere in the clubhouse was tense. Connor noticed it immediately, the way conversations stopped when he entered, the serious expressions on the men's faces. Marcus was in the back office with Ben and Michael Torres, the attorney. Through the window, Connor could see them talking intensely. "What's going on?" Connor asked Danny, who was replacing brake pads on a motorcycle. Danny hesitated. "Marcus should probably tell you, but there's been a development with your stepdad." Connor's stomach dropped. "What kind of development?" Before Danny could answer, Marcus emerged from the office, his face set in hard lines. He spotted Connor and walked over, Michael Torres following behind. "Connor, we need to talk," Marcus said. "Come on back to the office." Connor followed, heart hammering. Inside the office, Ben stood against the wall, arms crossed. Michael Torres sat down and gestured for Connor to take a seat. "Connor," Michael began in his calm, professional voice, "Greg Lawson responded to the divorce petition and restraining order today. He's contesting both. He's claiming that your mother is lying about the abuse, that you're making false accusations, and that this is all a ploy to take his money, which, given his financial situation, is absurd. But that's his claim." "What does that mean?" Connor asked. "It means this is going to trial," Marcus said flatly, "which means you and your mother will have to testify in court in front of Greg." Connor felt cold spread through his chest. The idea of facing Greg in court, of saying out loud what had happened, of Greg sitting there listening and denying it all, it was terrifying. "I know it's scary," Michael said gently, "but Connor, you've already done the hard part. You told the truth. You asked for help. Testifying is just telling that same truth to a judge, and you won't be alone. Your mother will testify. Dr. Kim will present her medical findings. The Iron Knights can provide character testimony. We have a strong case." "When?" Connor whispered. "Preliminary hearing is in 3 weeks. Full trial won't be for several months, but the preliminary hearing will determine if the restraining order stays in effect and whether there's enough evidence to proceed with the abuse charges." Connor looked at Marcus, seeking reassurance. Marcus knelt down, just like he had that first day in the clubhouse. "Listen to me, Connor. I know you're scared. That's normal. But you're not the same kid who walked in here 2 weeks ago. You're stronger now. You've got an army behind you, and we're going to be right there with you every step of the way. Understand?" Connor nodded, though his hands were shaking. "We'll prep you for what to expect," Michael continued. We'll practice questions, talk about courtroom procedure, make sure you feel as ready as possible. And Judge Linda Martinez is handling the case. She's tough but fair, and she doesn't tolerate nonsense from abusive parents. The meeting continued for another hour, covering logistics and legal strategy. By the time Connor left the office, his head was spinning. Jake offered to take him home, but Connor asked if he could stay at the clubhouse a while longer. He needed to be around people who made him feel safe. That evening, while Connor did homework at the bar and tried not to think about courtrooms and testimony, the door to the clubhouse opened. A man walked in, mid-40s, expensive suit, thinning hair. Connor recognized him immediately from career day, Tyler Brennan's father, Robert Brennan. Marcus straightened from where he'd been talking to Tommy. "Can I help you?" "Are you Marcus Stone?" Robert Brennan asked. His voice was uncertain, lacking the confidence his expensive clothes suggested. "I am. My son said I could find you here. I'm Robert Brennan, Tyler's father." He glanced around the clubhouse, clearly out of his element. "I wanted to talk to you about what you did at the school and about my son." Marcus exchanged glances with Ben, then nodded. "All right, let's sit down." They moved to a table in the corner. Connor pretended to focus on his homework but listened intently. "I saw the video," Robert began, "the one that went viral, and I watched my son's face while we watched it together. The way he looked at those kids surrounding Connor, at the way you all showed up for him." He paused, struggling with emotion. "Tyler asked me why I never look at him like that. Why I'm always on my phone, always working, always somewhere else." Marcus said nothing, just listened. "I've been telling myself I'm providing for my family," Robert continued, "working long hours, building my business, making money. But somewhere along the way, I forgot that my kids need more than money. They need what you gave Connor: presence, attention, someone who shows up." "So, show up," Marcus said simply. "It's not that easy. I don't know how to connect with Tyler. We don't have anything in common." "You both breathe, don't you?" Tommy interjected from a nearby table. "That's a start." Robert looked over, surprised to realize others were listening, but no one seemed hostile, just honest. "Look," Marcus said, leaning forward, "I'm not going to blow smoke and tell you parenting is easy. It's not. But here's the thing. Tyler doesn't need you to be perfect. He just needs you to try. Show interest in what he cares about. Ask questions, put down your phone when he's talking to you. Show up to his games, his school events, the boring stuff and the exciting stuff. Just be there." "He invited Tyler to come by here," Connor spoke up, surprising himself, "to learn about motorcycles. You could come with him. Both of you could learn together." Robert turned to look at Connor, really look at him. "You're the boy from the video, Connor." "Yes, sir." "My son gave you a hard time at school, didn't he?" Connor hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, sir. I'm sorry for that. I didn't know. I should have known." Robert's expression was pained. "Tyler told me tonight. Told me about the bullying. About how angry he's been because I'm never around. He said he took it out on you because you were an easy target." He paused. "That's not an excuse. It's just, I'm trying to understand how I failed this badly." "You're here now," Ben said from his position against the wall. "That's something." The conversation continued, Robert asking questions about the club, about their mentorship programs, about how they'd connected with Connor. Marcus explained their philosophy. That family isn't always blood, that community matters, that showing up is 90% of the battle. "Bring Tyler by Saturday," Marcus finally said. "Both of you come. We'll teach you about bikes, let you work on an engine, take a ride if you're interested. And maybe along the way, you'll figure out how to talk to your son." Robert stood up, extending his hand. "Thank you. I don't know what else to say except thank you." Marcus shook his hand. "Just don't waste this. Kids don't stay kids forever. The window closes fast." After Robert left, Connor approached Marcus. "That was really cool. What you did for Tyler's dad." Marcus shrugged. "Kid deserves a father who pays attention. We all do." He looked at Connor. "Speaking of which, you doing okay after the meeting with Michael?" Connor considered lying, saying he was fine. But these men had taught him that honesty mattered. "I'm scared. About court. About seeing Greg again." "That's normal. Fear doesn't make you weak, Connor. It makes you human. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing even when you're afraid. And you've got more courage than most adults I know." "What if I mess up? What if I forget what to say, or I start crying, or—" "Then you mess up," Marcus interrupted gently. "Then you cry. So what? You're 11 years old, testifying about trauma. No one expects you to be perfect. They just expect you to be honest. And you're good at that." Connor leaned against Marcus without planning to, and Marcus's arm came around his shoulders, solid and reassuring. Around them, the clubhouse hummed with quiet activity. Danny working on the bike, Tommy playing pool with Chris, Ben and Jake discussing something in low voices. It was normal and safe, and everything Connor's home life used to not be. "Marcus?" Connor said quietly. "Yes, son? After all this is over, after the trial and everything, will you still... will I still be able to come here?" Marcus pulled back to look at him, expression serious. "Connor, you're part of this family now. That doesn't end, ever. Trials end, legal stuff gets resolved, but family, that's permanent. You got that?" Connor nodded, eyes burning with tears he didn't try to hide. "Good. Now finish your homework. Your mom's picking you up in an hour, and she'll have my head if you're behind on schoolwork." Connor returned to his homework with renewed focus. The weight of the upcoming trial still heavy but manageable now. He had people in his corner. He had a family. And that made all the difference. Outside, rain began to fall on Riverside, washing the streets clean and carrying away the dust of October. Inside the Iron Knights clubhouse, warmth and brotherhood filled the spaces where fear used to live. And one 11-year-old boy learned that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and moving forward anyway, surrounded by people who refuse to let you fall. 3 weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Michael Torres met with Connor and Jennifer multiple times, walking them through likely questions, explaining courtroom procedures, role-playing difficult scenarios. The Iron Knights maintained a constant presence. Marcus attended every meeting, taking notes and asking questions that Connor hadn't thought to ask. Jake helped Connor write out his testimony, teaching him how to organize his thoughts clearly. Ben, with his military background in crisis management, taught Connor breathing techniques to stay calm under pressure. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning in November. Connor woke up that day in Aunt Diane's house with his stomach in knots. He'd barely slept, running through testimony in his head over and over, imagining Greg's face, wondering if he'd be able to speak at all. His mother knocked softly on Kyle's bedroom door at 6 a.m. "Connor, you awake?" "Yeah." She came in and sat on the edge of his air mattress. Jennifer looked exhausted. She'd been working extra shifts to save money for the apartment she'd finally found, a 2-bedroom in a safe neighborhood near Connor's school. They'd be moving in next week, assuming everything went well with the hearing today. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Scared," Connor admitted. "Me too." Jennifer reached out and took his hand. "But we're doing the right thing. You know that, right? No matter what happens today, speaking up was the right choice." Connor nodded. He knew it intellectually, but his emotions were a tangled mess of fear and determination. They dressed in their best clothes, Jennifer in a conservative blue dress, Connor in slacks and a button-up shirt that Marcus had helped him pick out. "Judges appreciate when people show respect for the court," Michael had explained. "It's all part of the presentation." At 8 a.m. they arrived at the Riverside County Family Law Court, an imposing beige building with palm trees lining the walkway. Connor's hands were sweating, his heart hammered in his chest. And then he saw them. The Iron Knights stood in the parking lot. Not all 32, but a solid 15, including Marcus, Danny, Ben, Jake, Tommy, Chris, Rick, Ray, James, and Pete Rodriguez. They wore their vests with pride, but also dress pants and clean shirts, respectful but present. When they saw Connor and Jennifer, they moved forward as one unit. "Thought you might want some backup," Marcus said, his voice warm. Connor felt tears prick his eyes. "You didn't have to." "Yes, we did," Ben interrupted firmly. "Your family. We show up for family." Michael Torres emerged from the courthouse, briefcase in hand, and smiled when he saw the gathering. "Morning, everyone." "Connor, Jennifer, you ready?" "As ready as we'll ever be," Jennifer replied. They entered the courthouse together, Connor and Jennifer flanked by Michael Torres on one side and Marcus Stone on the other, with the rest of the Iron Knights following behind. People in the hallway turned to stare at the unusual procession, but no one said anything. The courtroom was smaller than Connor had expected, with wood paneling and fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly. Judge Linda Martinez sat behind an elevated bench, a woman in her mid-50s with salt and pepper hair pulled back severely and sharp, intelligent eyes. The bailiff, a stocky man with a military bearing, stood near the judge's bench. And on the other side of the courtroom sat Greg Lawson. Connor stopped breathing for a moment. Greg looked different than he remembered, smaller somehow, though he was still a big man. He wore a cheap suit that didn't fit quite right, and his expression was a mixture of anger and something that might have been fear. Next to him sat his attorney, Ronald Chen, a tired-looking man with a rumpled shirt and coffee stains on his tie. Greg's eyes found Connor, and for a second, Connor saw the rage flash there, the same rage that had preceded so many beatings. Connor's instinct was to look away, to make himself small. Instead, he felt Marcus's hand on his shoulder, steady and strong. Connor straightened his spine and looked back at Greg without flinching. He wasn't alone anymore. He didn't have to be afraid. Judge Martinez called the court to order. "We're here for a preliminary hearing in the matter of Mitchell versus Lawson, case number FL 2025-8847. This concerns a petition for divorce, custody of minor child Connor Mitchell, and a restraining order based on allegations of domestic violence. Mr. Torres, you're representing the petitioner." "Yes, Your Honor." Michael stood. "Jennifer Mitchell, who is seeking divorce and full custody of her son, Connor Mitchell, age 11. We're also seeking to extend the temporary restraining order against the respondent, Greg Lawson, based on documented physical abuse of the minor child." "Mr. Chen." Judge Martinez looked at Greg's attorney. Ronald Chen stood slowly. "Your Honor, my client contests these allegations entirely. Mr. Lawson maintains that this is a vindictive action by Mrs. Mitchell designed to prevent him from seeing his stepson and to extract financial concessions in the divorce." "We'll hear evidence and testimony," Judge Martinez said. "Mr. Torres, call your first witness." The petitioner calls Dr. Rachel Kim. Dr. Kim took the stand, was sworn in, and provided professional detailed testimony about Connor's injuries. Photographs were admitted as evidence, medical reports documenting the pattern of abuse over time. Connor watched Greg's attorney try to suggest alternative explanations, sports injuries, accidents, but Dr. Kim was unshakable. "In my 15 years as a pediatrician specializing in child welfare," Dr. Kim stated clearly, "I've examined hundreds of children. The injuries Connor Mitchell presented with are consistent with repeated physical abuse, not accidents. The pattern, location, and various stages of healing are diagnostic." Next came Officer Lisa Hayes, who'd been the first responder when Jennifer had filed the initial police report. She described the scene: Jennifer's visible anxiety, Connor's obvious fear of Greg, the way the boy had flinched when Greg's name was mentioned. Then Michael called Jennifer to the stand. Connor watched his mother walk forward, her steps measured and careful. She looked small in the witness box, but when she began speaking, her voice was strong. Michael guided her through her testimony, how she'd met Greg 3 years ago, how he'd seemed charming at first, how the abuse had started gradually. She described the first time Greg hit Connor, the threats Greg had made if she told anyone, her fear for both her and her son's safety. Ronald Chen's cross-examination was aggressive, trying to paint Jennifer as a vindictive ex-wife making up stories. But Jennifer held her ground. "Why did you wait so long to leave?" Chen demanded. "Because I was afraid," Jennifer said simply. "Because Greg told me he'd make it worse if I tried. Because I was working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table and I didn't have the resources or support to get out. But when Connor found people who would help us, when he was brave enough to ask for help, I finally saw a way out, and I took it." "Your Honor," Michael interjected, "I'd like to note for the record that victim blaming is not an appropriate line of questioning." "Sustained," Judge Martinez said, fixing Chen with a sharp look. "Move on, counselor." When Jennifer's testimony concluded, Michael said, "Your Honor, I'd like to call Connor Mitchell to the stand." This was it. Connor stood up on shaking legs. Marcus squeezed his shoulder once. "You've got this." And Connor walked to the witness box. The bailiff administered the oath, and Connor's voice came out barely above a whisper. "I do." Judge Martinez leaned forward slightly, her expression softening. "Connor, I know this is difficult. Take your time, speak clearly, and just tell the truth. That's all anyone expects of you. Okay?" "Yes, ma'am." Michael approached with a gentle smile. "Connor, can you tell the court how you know Greg Lawson?" "He's my stepfather. He married my mom 3 years ago." "And how would you describe your relationship with Greg?" Connor's hands clenched in his lap. He could feel Greg's eyes on him, burning with anger. But he could also feel the presence of the Iron Knights behind him, solid and unwavering. "At first it was okay," Connor said. "But then he started getting angry a lot, yelling. And then he started hitting me." "Can you describe the first time that happened?" Connor did, his voice gaining strength as he went. He described the spilled beer, the slap, Greg's threat about what would happen if Connor told. He described other incidents, being shoved down the stairs, punched in the ribs, hit across the face hard enough to leave the bruise that had still been visible on career day. "Why didn't you tell anyone sooner?" Michael asked gently. "Because I was scared. Greg said if I told, it would be worse for my mom, and I believed him." "What changed?" Connor looked at Marcus, who gave a small nod. "I saw the Iron Knights clubhouse. My real dad used to ride motorcycles before he died, and I thought maybe someone there would understand. So I went and asked them to come to career day at my school, so I wouldn't be the only kid without a father. And what happened? They came, all of them, and they listened to me. Marcus asked about my bruises, and for the first time, someone actually saw what was happening. And he told me I didn't have to be alone anymore." Michael let that sit for a moment. "Connor, are you afraid of Greg Lawson?" "Yes." "Are you afraid right now with him in this courtroom?" "Yes, but I'm not alone anymore, so I can do this." Michael smiled. "No further questions, Your Honor." Ronald Chen stood for cross-examination, and Connor's stomach clenched. But Chen's questions were perfunctory. He seemed to realize that attacking an 11-year-old abuse victim in front of Judge Martinez was not going to win him any points. He tried to suggest that Connor might be misremembering, that discipline wasn't abuse, but Connor held firm to his testimony. Finally, it was over. Connor stepped down from the witness box on trembling legs and returned to his seat. Jennifer pulled him close, and Connor buried his face in her shoulder, exhausted. Judge Martinez called for a brief recess, then returned with her decision. "I've heard the testimony and reviewed the evidence," she said, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "The pattern presented here is clear and disturbing. Dr. Kim's medical documentation, Officer Hayes's observations, Mrs. Mitchell's testimony, and Connor Mitchell's own account all point to a consistent pattern of domestic violence and child abuse. Connor held his breath. The temporary restraining order is hereby extended for 1 year, Judge Martinez continued. Greg Lawson is prohibited from contacting Connor Mitchell or Jennifer Mitchell directly or indirectly. He is to stay at least 100 yards away from their residence, Connor's school, and Mrs. Mitchell's workplace. The divorce proceedings will move forward, and I'm granting temporary full custody of Connor Mitchell to his mother. Relief flooded through Connor so intensely he felt dizzy. Furthermore, Judge Martinez said, looking directly at Greg, Mr. Lawson, I am referring this case to the District Attorney's Office for potential criminal charges. What has been described here is not discipline. It is assault, and I will not tolerate it in my courtroom or my community. Greg's face went red, then white. His attorney put a hand on his arm, clearly warning him not to speak. We're adjourned, Judge Martinez said, striking her gavel. Connor turned to find Marcus standing behind him, pride written all over his face. You did it, son. You did it. We did it, Connor corrected. All of us. Outside the courthouse, the November sun broke through the clouds, warming the air. The Iron Knights surrounded Connor and Jennifer, offering congratulations and support. Michael Torres explained the next steps. The divorce would take a few more months to finalize, but the hard part was over. Connor was safe, Jennifer was safe, and Greg couldn't touch them anymore. I'm proud of you, brother, James Butler said, kneeling down to Connor's level. You were braver in there than I ever was at your age. I learned from you, Connor replied. As they walked to the parking lot, Connor noticed a familiar car pulling in, Robert Brennan's expensive sedan. Tyler got out, followed by his father. They approached hesitantly. Connor, Tyler said, my dad and I were coming to... We wanted to be here, for support, but it looks like it's over. Yeah, Connor said, the judge ruled in our favor. That's great, Robert said, genuine warmth in his voice. I'm glad you're safe, son. Tyler reached into his backpack and pulled out an envelope. I wrote you something. You don't have to read it now, but I wanted you to have it. Connor took the envelope, surprised. Thanks. And we're still coming to the clubhouse on Saturday, Robert added, looking at Marcus. If the invitation's still open. Always open, Marcus confirmed. As the Brennans left, Connor opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter on notebook paper. Connor, I've been a jerk to you for a long time and I'm sorry. I know sorry doesn't fix it, but I mean it. Watching your biker guys show up for you made me realize what I've been missing. What we've both been missing. A real family, real friends, people who actually care. My dad and I are trying to figure things out. It's weird and hard, but we're trying. And that's because of you. Because you showed me that it's okay to ask for help. That it's okay to admit when things are wrong. I hope we can be friends. Real friends, not just people who ignore each other at school. If you're willing to give me a chance, I promise I'll be better. Tyler Connor folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. Change was possible, he realized. People could grow, and maybe, just maybe, something good could come from all of this pain. The following Saturday, Connor stood in the parking lot of the Iron Knights clubhouse, watching Robert and Tyler Brennan arrive on time for their first lesson. Inside, Danny had an old engine disassembled, ready to teach them how to rebuild it. Marcus was preparing for a safety talk about responsible riding. Jake had books about motorcycle culture and history laid out on a table. But first, there was something Connor needed to do. Marcus, he said, pulling his chosen father aside. Can we talk? They walked to a quiet corner of the lot. Connor pulled out a folded paper from his pocket, an essay he'd written for school, titled, What Family Means. Mrs. Patterson assigned this, Connor explained, and I wanted you to read it before I turn it in. Marcus unfolded the paper and read, "Family isn't just the people you're born to. It's the people who show up when you need them. It's the ones who see your hurt and help you heal. It's the ones who teach you that asking for help isn't weakness, it's courage. My biological father died when I was 8. I loved him, and I miss him every day. For a long time after he died, I thought I'd never have a real father again. Then I met the Iron Knights Motorcycle Club, and I learned that family can be chosen. Marcus Stone became my father the day I walked into his clubhouse with a black eye and asked for help. He didn't have to listen. He didn't have to care. But he did. And he brought 31 of his brothers with him to show me I wasn't alone. Family is Danny, teaching me about engines. Family is Ben, teaching me breathing exercises when I'm scared. Family is Jake, helping me with homework, and James sharing his story so I don't feel alone. Family is Tommy, telling me about the open road, and Pete bringing food, and all of them showing up in a courtroom just to let me know they're there. My biological father will always be in my heart. But Marcus Stone is my father now, in every way that matters, and the Iron Knights are my family, not because we share blood, but because we share something more important. We share love, respect, and the promise to always show up for each other. That's what family means. Marcus's eyes were suspiciously bright when he finished reading. He carefully refolded the paper and handed it back to Connor. That's one hell of an essay, son. Is it okay that I wrote that? About you being my dad? Marcus pulled Connor into a hug, strong and certain. It's more than okay. It's the truth, and I'm honored to be your father, Connor Mitchell, every single day. They stood there for a moment, father and son, not by blood or law, but by choice. And that made it real. Inside the clubhouse, Tommy rang the bell that signaled a meeting. Connor and Marcus walked in together to find the entire brotherhood assembled, all 32 members, including some who'd driven hours to be there. Tyler and Robert Brennan stood off to the side, looking uncertain but welcome. "Brothers," Marcus said, his voice carrying through the room, "we've had a good few weeks. Connor's case went well. The restraining order's in place. Jennifer found an apartment. Connor's safe." Applause and cheers erupted. "But more than that," Marcus continued, "we remembered why we do this, why we formed this club. It's not just about riding motorcycles, though that's a hell of a bonus. It's about brotherhood, about community, about being there for people who need us." He looked at Connor. "This kid walked in here scared and alone, and he asked for help. And in helping him, we helped ourselves. We remembered our purpose. So I want to propose something." The room quieted, waiting. "I want to make Connor Mitchell an honorary member of the Iron Knights. He won't have a full patch. He's too young for that, and he doesn't ride yet. But he's one of us. He's family. And when he turns 18, if he wants full membership, he's got it. No questions asked." The vote was unanimous. Danny produced a vest, child-sized, custom-made, with Iron Knights across the back and honorary member beneath it. On the front, over the heart, was a patch that read, "Connor Mitchell, little brother." Connor put on the vest with trembling hands, and the clubhouse erupted in applause. Men he'd known for weeks and men he'd just met were clapping for him, welcoming him, making him one of their own. Tommy raised a beer. "To Connor Mitchell, the bravest kid I know." "To Connor," the brotherhood echoed. Connor looked around the room, at Marcus, who'd become his father, at Danny, Ben, Jake, James, and all the others who'd shown him what family meant, at Tyler and Robert Brennan, starting their own journey toward healing, at the walls covered with photos of rides and rallies and brotherhood. This was home. This was family. This was where he belonged. And for the first time in 3 years, Connor Mitchell felt complete. Spring arrived in Riverside with blooming jacaranda trees and warm breezes that smelled of possibility. Connor Mitchell, now 12 years old, sat on the back of Marcus Stone's Harley, wearing his helmet and his Iron Knights honorary vest, grinning so wide his face hurt. They were riding to Connor's school, not for an emergency, but for the spring career fair that Principal Hoffman had organized. This time, the Iron Knights were invited guests, scheduled to talk about motorcycle safety, community service, and the importance of brotherhood. Behind them rode 32 motorcycles in perfect formation, the full brotherhood showing up once again. Connor's life had changed in ways he couldn't have imagined that October day when he'd walked into the clubhouse with a black eye and a desperate plea. He and his mother lived in their own apartment now, small but safe, filled with laughter instead of fear. Jennifer had gotten a promotion at work and was taking night classes to become a dental hygienist. Greg Lawson was facing criminal charges and wasn't allowed anywhere near them. Tyler Brennan had become a genuine friend, spending weekends at the clubhouse learning about motorcycles alongside Connor. Robert Brennan had quit his job at the corporate firm and started a smaller practice with better hours, finally putting his family first. Sarah Chen's father, David, had joined the Iron Knights Community Outreach Committee, helping organize youth programs. James Butler had started a support group for abuse survivors, meeting weekly at the clubhouse and slowly healing his own wounds by helping others heal theirs. The Iron Knights had expanded their mentorship program, now working with 12 local kids who needed positive male role models. And Connor was thriving. His grades had improved. He'd joined the school's engineering club. He'd started writing stories about motorcycles and family and finding your way home. He smiled easily now, laughed often, and slept through the night without nightmares. As they pulled into Oakwood Elementary's parking lot, students poured out of the building, cheering and waving. Connor dismounted carefully, removing his helmet, and found himself immediately surrounded by classmates. "Connor, are you going to ride in the parade next month? Can I sit on one of the bikes? Will you teach me about engines like you did in engineering club?" Connor answered questions, introducing his friends to Marcus and the other riders, feeling proud and grateful and home. Principal Hoffman approached, smiling broadly. "Mr. Stone, Connor, welcome back. We're so glad you could make it." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Marcus replied. As they set up for the career fair, Connor noticed a new student standing at the edge of the crowd, a girl, maybe 10 years old, with a bruise on her arm she was trying to hide. She watched the Iron Knights with a mixture of hope and fear that Connor recognized instantly. Connor walked over slowly, not wanting to scare her. "Hi, I'm Connor. I'm Maya," she said quietly. "This is your first time at one of these?" "Yeah, I just moved here." Connor saw himself in her. The careful way she held herself, the way her eyes darted around looking for threats, the desperate hope that maybe things could be different. "The Iron Knights are pretty cool," Connor said. "They're good people. If you ever need anything, if you ever need help, they're there for you." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Really? Really?" Connor reached into his pocket and pulled out one of the cards Marcus had given him to carry, the ones with the clubhouse address and phone number. "Keep this, and if you ever need help, you call, or you come by. They'll listen, I promise." Maya took the card with shaking hands. "Thank you," Connor smiled. "That's what family does. We show up for each other." As the career fair began, Connor stood between Marcus and Danny, helping explain engine mechanics to fascinated students. He looked around at the gymnasium filled with families and friends and possibilities, at the Iron Knights answering questions and sharing stories, at Maya tucking the card carefully into her pocket. This was what healing looked like. Not perfect, not easy, but real. It looked like broken people finding each other and choosing to be better together. It looked like men on motorcycles showing up when a scared kid asked for help. It looked like family, the kind you choose, the kind that chooses you back. Connor caught Marcus's eye, and they shared a smile. No words were needed. They both understood what this moment meant. the continuation of something important, the ripple effects of one act of courage spreading outward, changing lives, creating hope. Because sometimes family isn't about who you start with. It's about who shows up. It's about who stays. It's about who looks at a broken, scared kid and says, "You're not alone anymore." And 32 motorcyclists had shown Connor Mitchell that truth in the most powerful way possible. Not just with words, but with presence, with action, with unwavering support. They'd shown up, they'd stayed, and they'd changed everything.